What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another live stream. I did not expect to do this today either, but unusual circumstances led me to do a live stream instead of a video today. As I told you guys, recently a lot has been going on, and therefore I'm choosing this route here because it's just easier to get it out of the way, right? I posted live. You guys can watch it right in the moment, and then afterwards I can still edit it as a video. So I hope you like this format too. And what we're doing today, of course, we're going into a new segment. I'll be talking about altcoins. You can, of course, see Bitcoin in the background. We'll be starting off with Bitcoin, and then we're going into ETH, XRP, Solana, and SUI. Yesterday, I called it SUI on the stream for some reason. But of course, I was talking about SUI, and this is, of course, the most popular out of the few that we just mentioned here. And yeah, going to be exciting to look at this new segment as well, for me as well. Always good to look at some other charts. Of course, in my own time, I look at many altcoins and many different assets that I trade as well. But for the channel, I kept it so far. I stuck to Bitcoin because it's just bitcoineasy.io, right? And I thought it's the one that everyone cares about. But as I found out, people are way more interested in altcoins, and therefore, of course, if you guys want to see it, then I'll add it to the channel as well. If you want to add anything else here that I should analyze for you guys, then make sure to drop it down in the comments. I'm open to ideas and happy to always look at other charts as well. Especially stuff that I don't know yet. It's always interesting to find new stuff. So if you have any gems that you want to shill or drop, make sure to do so down in the comments. And of course, guys, I always let you know here. Actually, I have to post this right now. I always let you guys know when anything new happens in as far as Bitcoin Easy goes, or as far as the Bitcoin price goes. I always post it over on X. And yeah, guys, this is the easiest way to stay up to date with my analysis. Let me just get this out of the way quickly. And here you have it, right? Pat does crypto over on X. And as you can see here, I keep updating you with the Bitcoin price and everything else that has a very strong impact on the crypto markets. So yeah, guys, let's move my face out of the way here and dive into the charts. Starting off with Bitcoin, as I just said, we're doing a top-down analysis here, starting on the weekly chart, which of course becomes very interesting tomorrow. And tomorrow we have the weekly wrap-up, where I'll be discussing Bitcoin in detail, and then going into also the key events for next week and some news that could have a really strong impact on the Bitcoin price. You can always find the schedule over here on X as well. Right here, you can see this is the schedule. I'm actually working on it to update it right now because this is going to be a little bit hard here for me to do because there's a few segments that need a little bit more attention. Therefore, I need to do a few adjustments. So keep your eyes open. I'll update you over on X and also here on YouTube as soon as the new schedule is ready. And yeah, guys, so let's dive into the charts. Bitcoin USD on the weekly chart here. What we can see is that we have a nice follow-up here from last week's bullish candle here. Of course, this candle still has a day and a half about left to close here, but for now we reached the key level here. Once again, we're sitting right above the 61.8, and that's what we've been discussing while we were down here in this range. At the moment we break the 38.2, which has been a key resistance point here, then that it's likely that we go all the way up here to the 61.8, and there's of course a key level that we want to break here to go towards the previous all-time highs. And here this key range right above the 78.6 here, 102k. You can see also a very strong level here with previous tops in the area, but above the key area that we want to break here to identify a continuation towards the all-time highs. Of course, here the key range here between 102,700 and 104k roughly, and that of course a weekly close above there would erase any doubt from anyone that is saying that Bitcoin is not continuing to new all-time highs in this cycle. And for now, for this weekly close, we'll look at it tomorrow. There's still a bit of work to be done here, and Bitcoin is in a tough spot right now that we will see on the largest timeframes, on the smaller timeframes in a second. And there's some stuff that we need to break still to the upside before we can see a move upwards there. But for now, we got to keep an eye here on the 61.8. Of course, if that breaks, then we have a strong probability that we continue upwards to the 78.6. I'll get back to that tomorrow. And now let's go down to the daily chart and wrap it up there for Bitcoin for today before I go to those altcoins previously mentioned here. And there we can see that we now, of course, here, as mentioned last week and this week as well, we've been talking about it. This here was the key level, right at 95,600 on a daily closing basis, where I told you guys if we start closing above there, then the next move from Bitcoin is towards 98K and then 100K. And that is, of course, coming from this range here, right? We re-entered the range here. We broke the prior closing low. We managed to close back above there and are now looking here for potentially a bit of a pullback to retest that area here. And that's also where this Fibonacci retracement becomes very interesting. We can see that the 38.2, the strongest level for very strong trends here, lining up perfectly here. This makes more sense on smaller time frames, but here just to give you a nice visual with the support that we're getting in the area, not only from a price action perspective, but also from a Fibonacci retracement perspective. So a very strong area here between 95,700 and 95.5 roughly. This is the key area where we want to stay above here on a closing basis. To be exact, 95,600 here. That's the key level. Of course, we can see a bit of a wick below there, but to close above there would be ideal to continue here in this range and then to continue our journey upwards towards 98K, which of course we just met here already yesterday. And that was our first target that we mentioned already down here. When we were still down here in this range, that it becomes very, very tough in the 92 to 93K area. Then 95K becomes strong resistance, and after that 98 and 100K. And if we break this range here, then you can see that above us here, what we just saw on the weekly chart as well, we have a very strong resistance level here in the 102 to 104K range. And above there, really, there's nothing but thin air towards new all-time highs. So a bit of work left to be done here for Bitcoin. And then, of course, altcoins will follow as well once those levels are broken. Some of the altcoins that we will look at look actually much stronger than Bitcoin. And we will see that also from a moving average perspective. Here, for example, we had, as we looked at on the 4-hourly chart on ETH the other day and also on Bitcoin, we had a golden cross there on the 4-hourly chart where the EMA, the 50 EMA crossed the 200 EMA to the upside and gave us a nice signal for a big rally for Bitcoin, which then, of course, also followed. And throughout this bull market so far, as we have tracked back here on the channel, we saw that there was a 100% hit rate so far on this golden cross on the 4-hourly chart that was always followed by big rallies. Now here, this is actually the opposite, right? We saw that the 50 went below the 200 here on the daily chart. And now we got to see if we can get another golden cross here on the daily chart as well over time when the moving averages here go upwards again as the price action continues upwards as well. But for that, first we need to see here, of course, a key break of this level here on a closing basis. That will be the next key one here. 98,400 roughly on a daily closing basis would give us strong indication that we then continue upwards here to the previously mentioned targets here in the 102 to 104K range. But now this here is very key. As mentioned just now, the line here, the orange line, 95,600. We want to continue confirming this as support and get a bounce there and close above there to here have a nice continuation of this trend and also to print another higher low here, right? Right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin, basically. As I said earlier, tomorrow is the weekly close here that I will be getting into in detail into Bitcoin and also go into the smaller time frames and analyze the weekly chart with you guys to really see what's going on here from that perspective. And now let's go start out with ETH. We can see here that it's very strong support right now. This is, of course, a chart that we've covered here a couple of days ago where I posted my first video about Ethereum on the channel, and there we have a very strong support level right now here, not only from a price action perspective, that becomes very clear here from the previous support levels here, and then we had support here again, resistance. You can see many touch points throughout this key area of interest here, and also from a Fibonacci retracement perspective, we can see here that that is the complete retracement here from this current low here from June 22, which was the bear market low for Ethereum, to the current high here, to this current cycle top right at 4,100, right? And there we see that the 78.6 is giving us support here in alignment with this key price action level. And there we see very clearly now that the next target here above from a price action perspective is this key area of interest that lines up perfectly as well with the 61.8 of the Fibonacci retracement level. So once again, here the key price target now, when we get, as we're expecting continuation here of this nice candlestick pattern as well. We saw we put in a nice hammer here at the bottom, followed up with a bullish candle afterwards here. and now sitting here on top of this key area. And then of course the key target here after bouncing off the 78.6 from a Fibonacci level as well becomes here this key area around $2,100. If we cross above there, then of course it becomes obvious that the 38.2, as I always tell you guys, if we don't get a strong reaction from the 61.8, we get a strong hit rate with the 38.2, and then this would be the next price target here, right around 2,800 to $3,000 here in this area up here. And then on the smaller time frames now, here on the daily chart, we can see that it's becoming more and more bullish here for Ethereum. Of course, we've been in this massive downtrend, very similar to what we saw for Bitcoin, but of course, still more bearish here because Ethereum's been underperforming massively compared to the rest of the market. If we go back here on the weekly chart, we can see that very clearly. Ethereum has not been able to print a new all-time high here while Bitcoin did, and therefore we saw it yesterday as well on the total 2 chart, on the market cap excluding Bitcoin, that's underperforming massively due to Ethereum. Because if we look at the total 3, then we saw very clearly that altcoins are outperforming Ethereum massively as well, and not only Bitcoin. So yeah, guys, here very, very clear to see now that we finally got a nice trend reversal here as well. In this downtrend, we broke the prior high here, also from a horizontal perspective, not only a breakout here from a diagonal perspective, and we reclaimed now also the 50 SMA here on the daily chart as support, and therefore our next key target area here very clearly as well on the daily chart is right around $2,100. If we break above there, then we can also see from a moving average perspective that we have this key area here up here in alignment right around $2,800, where we can also see the 200-day SMA, right? So very, very clear to see that this is here the key area in case we break above this key area of interest of $2,100. And then to the downside here, as far as a potential correction goes, we see here that the 38.2 lines up perfectly with the prior range highs here. That of course gave us a clear signal that we had a trend reversal, and we broke the prior high, but now we still need to confirm this new higher high here with a higher low. So of course we can get it out of this area where we are right now, and we can consider these current wicks here as well as our current low, but the line in the sand really is the prior range highs here. As we know, previous support usually turns into previous resistance, in this case, turns into into strong support. Sorry guys, my head is spinning a little bit this morning. But yeah guys, this would be really the line in the sand here. If we start falling below there, then of course everything here would turn back into resistance, and it would give us a strong signal that we're moving sideways and down here at least throughout the summer, and then could expect a continuation of the bull market after the summer. But of course, all of that depends massively on Bitcoin as well. And yeah, guys, tomorrow we get into it in detail to see whether we expect a continuation for Bitcoin as well here to the upside. But for now, still, as I mentioned here a few times now, key area $2,100 here. Right, guys, that's it for ETH basically. I'll get back into ETH in detail once again next week. You can check out the schedule that I post later, then you know exactly what day that is going to be. But I'll make sure to rotate these altcoins here on a more frequent basis, and that's going to be a new segment that will be a staple and a part of the channel from now on. All right, guys, so next one is XRP here. Of course, a very, very strong chart. We look at it here on the weekly chart, and let's get up some moving averages as well. There it becomes very clear how much stronger this is right now. So on a weekly perspective, right, we can see that most of the coins, including Bitcoin, went all the way down to the 50-week SMA. And we can see here that ETH has not even done that yet. It's still sitting here very, very strongly above the 61.8. That, of course, being the Fibonacci retracement here coming from this swing, from this prior low here to the current high. And there you can see we got a nice bounce, nice reaction of the 61.8. And as we know, once we bounce off the 61.8 and then come upwards, then the 38.2 becomes our next resistance point. And there we have very strong alignment with the prior high here in this downtrend. 38.2 right around $3,000, or just, $2.3. And then above there, we can see that right around $2.4.5 here is the prior high. So we really want to see it close above there, and then we can expect continuation here to challenge the prior all-time highs. So really nice spot for XRP, one of the stronger charts, of course, out there, outperforming, for example, Ethereum massively. And we're here in a key spot as well. Nice candle that formed here right off the 61.8 bounce, closing back here above these prior range lows, giving us a strong signal that we're at least now going to challenge here the prior high. And then on a closing basis, as I just said, right around $2.45, that would give us a strong signal that we continue upwards to the previous all-time highs here on a weekly closing basis. But of course, we don't want to wait that long to catch that. So therefore, we go down into the daily chart as well here and see exactly what's going on from that perspective. And there, that red line here that we just looked at as well here, slightly higher on the daily closing basis, right around $2.55 here, lines up perfectly with this trend line here as well. And that is the prior high here, of course, from a price action perspective. If we look at it from on this path here, for example, and see we put in a low here, a high, and at this point we then started printing lower lows and lower highs here, signalizing a clear downtrend. And to break a downtrend, by the book, we always want to break the prior high in this trend, right? To confirm that we're printing higher highs now instead of lower highs and lower lows. And for that, exactly this level here is key to break. Once again, right around $2.55 here. And if that breaks, then of course we have a very strong signal here that the price continues upwards to also challenge the prior all-time highs here from this perspective. So very nice. And then to the downside, we can see here very clearly that we're sitting here right above the prior range high. We already had the retest here of the breakout after a very nice reverse head and shoulder pattern, right? That you can see here with the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. And then here, now the retest of the breakout. Then of course we can expect here a nice continuation upwards now as well when the rally for Bitcoin also continues. Right, guys, and that's it for XRP basically. Moving over to Solana, and Solana in a very nice trend here still. As we look at it on the weekly chart, we can see here the bottom from 2023 with multiple touch points here afterwards in summer 23 and then in September 23 again. And now recently here we revisit that trend line again. And here we touched it right at 104 to 105 bucks. So we actually dropped all the way to 95 bucks here. And then reclaimed the 61.8 as well from this retracement from this entire uptrend here, right? So we can see here we fell below the 61.8, but then bounced off the trend line, recaptured the 61.8, and are now sitting right below the 50. But as we know, if we come through the 61.8, 38.2 has a massive hit rate, and therefore that's our next target here as well in this uptrend, the area between 180 bucks to 200 bucks here, where we can see that that is a key area of interest as well from a price action perspective here. Just locally, you can see it here, multiple touch points here, all the way leading back to a year ago, March 24, massive resistance here throughout, and massive support. And now, of course, if we reach that area here again, then it becomes massive resistance again. And if we break through there, then this would, of course, be a strong signal as well that Solana is also going up to challenge the previous all-time highs. And after I wrap up here on the altcoins, I'll get back into the total market cap here to show you exactly why there is a strong indication that we're continuing upwards in this bull market right now and that the bottom is in. Of course, there's no guarantees for that, but we see a very nice setup there. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to check out yesterday's stream. You can find it in the live section on the channel here. And there I broke it down in detail, everything from the total market cap to total 2 and total 3, and showed you exactly what the key levels there are and why it is looking so bullish. But here you can see we had a beautiful bounce off this trend line here, and then a bullish engulfing candle here, engulfing the entire previous candle here with this bullish candle, and then followed up here. And now, of course, if we break through the 50 here, then we have a very strong here potential to move upwards towards, like I just said, 180 to 200 bucks. That's then a key area here for Solana. And now look, let's go down into the daily chart here as well. See exactly what's going on. And there we can see at the 180 bucks level, right? We can see that there's also the same thing that we saw earlier here, the same setup. We have the 50 below us, and then the 200 SMA above us. And that lines up perfectly with that key area of interest as well. And therefore, from this perspective here, very nice and very, very clear image that we can expect a continuation upwards there. Now we're actually testing the prior range highs here. This is also the breakout area. Let me just pull up a horizontal ray here. The prior range highs here on a closing basis. This is what we don't want to fall below here to really confirm this higher low now as well, and then to continue upwards from there. If we start closing below there, then it becomes pretty ugly for Solana, and then we can expect another revisit here of this key area between 120 and even $100 here. And then we have to see really if this trend line can continue to carry us here in this uptrend. But now, from everything else that we've seen on all the other charts, we have a very strong indication that we're seeing here at least a continuation towards the $180 level. But of course, we always have to be ready to pivot, and that's the pivot line here, guys, right below, just above here, $140, right below $144. If we start closing below there, then of course, here we see also the 50 SMA here in the area just above this key area of interest. Then it's very likely that we come down there and go even lower here towards $120, which of course historically has been a very, very strong level here, as we can see all the way back to December 2023. Right, guys, so all looking very nice here for towards the upside, everything pointing towards the upside here. Basically from a price action perspective right now, we're recapturing very strong levels across the board for altcoins. Sorry, guys, my shirt is doing its own thing and trying to open itself. And yeah, now let's go over to SUI and wrap it up there. And then, as promised, I'll go back into the total market cap as well and show you why there's such a strong potential for the altcoins as well as Bitcoin to rally from this point on here. So here you can see SUI, of course, the weekly chart relatively small here. We can see that it's only tracks back all the way to May 2023, so not much to see here. The key areas of interest consisting of just few touch points therefore, but very strong bounce here as well. We can see the prior tops here from March 24 and a bunch of connection points as well with the previous all-time high here established back in September 23. Key area of interest and found support there again in October 24, and now again nice bounce from there, followed by a massive candle here into this key area of interest and the 38.2, right? Here we have the Fibonacci retracement, very similar to the previous charts here, coming from this low here back in summer 2024 to our current high. And there we see that we're getting currently resistance from the 38.2. Very similar setup here. We had strong resistance from the 61.8. Once that breaks, we usually can expect continuation to the 38.2. Of course, that doesn't have a 100% hit rate, but it has a very, very high hit rate, especially if you see it on larger time frames. Of course, the larger the time frame, the more weight it carries. If you see it something on a, of course, it depends on the retracement as well. If we take the same retracement now from here, from this low to this high, and put it on an hourly chart, and we see a break of the 61.8 on an hourly closing basis, then of course it doesn't carry as much weight as if we see a break on a weekly closing basis, right? And there we can see that we made it all the way up there in one candle, and that's now our key resistance point here in alignment with this key area of interest. If we start breaking above here, above the key level of $3 and right around 78 cents, then we can expect here also continuation towards the $5 level, and then potentially new all-time highs once we reach that area as well, or most likely new all-time highs when we reach that area. So yeah, guys, really nice setup here on the weekly chart as well. Now let's wrap it up here on the daily chart for the altcoins today. Let's see how long this video is. Oh, that's all right, 24 minutes. Hope you guys are not getting bored. I know the more edited videos are usually somewhere in the 10 to 15 minute range, and here, of course, covering multiple tokens and being live, there's not any editing going on, so therefore it can get a little longer. But yeah, here you see it very clearly where the current resistance is coming from here from a price action perspective. We also see that we have the support of the 200 SMA here on the daily chart, everything turning up here as well, including the 50 SMA. And here at one point, then we also expect a nice golden cross here on the daily chart, which then could, of course, provoke further price action to the upside. And yeah, guys, here's the key level that we need to break now here. We can see prior right around $3.60 on a daily closing basis, which aligns nicely here with our current highs, right, from this range. And then above the key area of interest here between $4 and $4.27 roughly. If we break above there on a daily closing basis, then there's nothing in our way really to our current all-time highs here. And then to the downside, we want to really hold the March high here, right around $3.24 here. And there we also see that that's the support that's given from the 200 SMA here on the daily chart. And if we start closing below there, then of course this area of interest here comes into play with the previous high here from this downtrend that of course at this point was broken, and the break of the market structure here from a downtrend to an uptrend was confirmed. But we still need to confirm that here. We can see that this has been a straight uptrend so far, and we are looking for a confirmation to see whether this is our current low here or high low within this trend. And for that, we of course need to break the current high here. And very clear the levels once again, $3.60 roughly to the upside, and then $3.24 to the downside. If we break below there, then once again, this key area of interest comes into play. And there you also see it from a Fibonacci retracement perspective. There we have nice alignment here in this area of the 38.2 and the 50. Right, guys, now let's wrap it up here on the total market cap charts. And for that, we go into the larger time frames here, the weekly, for example. Actually, let's go to the monthly. That was the massive indication that we got here. So that's total one, right? That's the total market cap, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there we see a massive bullish candle here, right above, engulfing the previous candle and sending a nice wick down here into this key area of interest, consisting of the prior cycle top here from 2021. And then here our previous range that we broke out of back in November 24, when we then started printing all-time highs here across the board. And yeah, we found that as support, put in a massive bullish candle now and sitting just in alignment with the prior cycle top here. So if we start breaking above this top here on a trading basis and then start closing above it, then we have very clear indication that the trend here is continuing upwards, and we're seeing new all-time highs here for total one as well. And then to wrap it up, we can look at the total 3 chart. This is the one, of course, excluding Ethereum and Bitcoin. And there we saw a very similar thing, a massive hammer candle here. Of course, this a huge reversal candle, and especially on such a massive time frame like the monthly chart, right? If we just look at a few other ones that we had in the past here, much smaller hammer down here, you can see in this area, right? That marked the bottom here. After that, we continued upwards here. Then a massive hammer here, also in alignment with the retest of the prior area of interest. Continued upwards from here, and here very similar setup, test of the previous area of interest, massive hammer, and now we can expect continuation to the upside from this perspective as well. Of course, guys, none of these things are guarantees. These are all high probability plays, but there's nothing that's 100%. But across the board, it looks very nice now, and it looks like we can expect here some continuation of the current uptrend. But of course, we always have to be ready to flip the script and change our bias here. And therefore, we need to always keep our eyes open for the support levels as well. Once they start breaking, then of course, this bias can be flipped. But to wait for this to happen on the monthly chart would be pretty crazy. So at least go down to the weekly chart and see really there what the key levels are. And here we see it from this perspective that we're sitting right at the neckline here in this downtrend of the prior high. And that we need to break that still here to confirm the breakout. And then of course, we're looking for higher highs and higher lows here towards the previous tops. So really key spot here right now for total 3. We want to see this key area of $815 billion broken, and then we can expect some continuation towards here. 925 billion, very strong area as well. You can see a massive support and resistance in that area. And then from the total 1 perspective, including Ethereum and Bitcoin, there we can see as well that here from a trend perspective, we've still been printing higher lows and higher highs in this trend. Of course, we broke this prior area here, but here to really see continuation and a breakout and to the upside, we want to get above this key area of interest here, somewhere right around $3.2 trillion. If that level is broken, then guys, then fireworks are going off and we can definitely see new all-time highs across the board. Right, guys, so that's it for me for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Another live stream, unplanned, but nonetheless, we got it done. A lot of stuff covered here, different altcoins. If there's something that you're interested in, for example, some meme coins, I can also make sure to plan something into the schedule where I cover different meme coins on a certain day per week, potentially over an X or something. So yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, while you're down there, might as well smash up the like button. And if you're not new to the channel, first of all, warm welcome. But make sure also, if you enjoy the content, to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload new videos here on the channel. And yeah, guys, once again, quick reminder, go over to Pat.Crypto, and this is where you can stay up to date with my analysis around the clock. All right, guys, so that's it. We'll wrap it up here. Nothing to add from me for now. If I think of anything later on, like I just said, I'll let you know on X. And as always, happy trading and see you soon.